So some innovation, but looks like WE going to continue with that Aphelios first pick, right? Why not? And here, AL took the Ahri and Zhao, and they snapped those up very quick. But it looks like they're going to go for the Gwen. They know how broken this champion is. And, oh, it's in Zhao as well. What a combo. The just broken duo where your AD carry can't function for 10 seconds of a team fight because Gwen is immune and Xin Zhao takes 0 damage. So beautiful to see. And quickly, WE, they're going to take the Trundle as a response to Xin Zhao. And I think they will probably take the Gnar as a response to Gwen, something that can kind of manage her in the side lane. And AL will just lock in that XAyah once again. So adaptations, little changes, but not massive changes from that first draft. It's really that Gwen priority for AL over the Ahri.
Yeah, and again, I think WE are still happy with what they've got available to them. I think that Xing on the Aphelios did very, very well in those later game team fights, and we see how just much of a difference you get with a crit scaling AD carry versus something like a XAyah. If the XAyah cannot get those early advantages in the full handfuls, basically, you are just not going to be able to do the same level of damage as something like an Aphelios. So curious to see where they take these last few picks as we do see the Tam Kench and the Thresh Band away. We might just see a Leona and a Nautilus again in for the side of Team WE, and anyone's legend. I would like to see something different than the set. I do like the aggressiveness, but maybe go with something a little bit more standard, shall we say.
Yeah, I think one thing could be said, especially when you don't have the Ahri, the set can struggle a bit times to get in range to engage compared to Nautilus and Leona. But I love Chocho on set, so I don't really care. Dude, this guy's had so, like, he had that banger set game earlier in the season that just, I don't know, man. He can pick it anytime. I don't care. That's how solidified it is for me. But it looks like they are approaching it and may just go for that more reliable, longer range engage off the Leona. We'll see if they end up locking that in. And the thing is, with the Thresh and the Tom Kench gone away, I think you're pretty comfortable into whatever WE take in the situation. Probably just going to see the match off the Nautilus. We'll see if that ends up coming out. And it's also the mid lane for WE, what they're going to take. Ryze is something that was overlooked completely in the first game, right? There's also the Ahri that's up and available. A lot of options. Could you see even the Orianna again?
Yeah, could just see the Orianna being picked up this time around, though. As I said, the Anyone's Legend not going to go for the set, going to go for the Leona, but that does mean that XAyah going to get the other side of this matchup, going for the Ahri himself. We did see some decent, showings from the Ahri on Forge, but it wasn't able to make it land 100%. I will say, though, the short-range composition of Anyone's Legend means that those charms are in a lot better position to be able to catch people out.
Dude, I feel like for AL, I would love a Vex here. It's a good matchup into the Ahri, and you can help dive with your team really effectively.
Ooh.
WE go for the Galio, which is
Galio support.
Weird. Yeah. Like normally Galio, I feel like works well when you have like primary engage from your team and you can follow up, right? Like if you have a Camille, for example, who could jump in and you ult on top of her. I think that's where it works really well. They don't really have that primary engage, so a bit of a weird one coming out from WE. AL toying with my heart, hovering the Vex, but go for the Ryze instead. And I feel a lot of places on the west from where I am.
Hooray!
Oh, we're back in the game.
We did it. We bluffed long enough, but there was a lighting problem allegedly in WE setup. So
See, I was hoping it would be something simple like that, and it was. And Sheen, you were doomsaying, right? You had all the viewers
doomsaying.
nervous.
I was caster cursing. The Noovers,
and they are
the
satisfied now.
You know what? The LPL viewers are now the Noovers. I like this, as we do see a bit more of an engage coming out. Honestly, I'm going to refer to the viewers now as the Noovers. I like that. Nervous viewers, the Noovers.
Yeah, true. It's a bit trading, back and forth, bit of fun. All the players like, ooh, we're back in game. Let's go, let's tussle.
League of Legends is supposed to be a fun game, played for people. You're not supposed to get salty about it. Yeah.
I love playing League. But man, do I hate playing League with other people who aren't like pre-mates or something. That's all I'm gonna say.
You are kind of like you'll never be directly toxic to somebody. I'll notice that, but like when we're on comms and we're playing, I'm just like every now and again I'll hear like you just like, oh my god, and I'm just like, all right, cool. He's just having a moment.
I just get a bit heated, right? I don't take it out on that person.
No,
and
you never do that.
I vocally vent, which is the nice thing to do, right? Because it keeps everything positive. We're so off topic, man. Let's hone in. We had a bit of a pause. We've been derailed so heavily. League of Legends in front of us with AL against WE, and Shanks looking for a flank. Forge.
He is, but I don't think he's going to be able to get much out of this. He will land the pillar, but that's about all he's going to do as the pillar of filth comes out of the ground. Let's see the pillar of ice now. I don't like that they changed that. Back onto the derailing. I don't want to be on this train anymore. Let's go on to...
Dude, I feel like with that skin it still is, right? He's gonna...
It is, but it's called pillar of ice. It used to be called pillar of filth.
I feel like it's like the Twitch ult thing where they changed the name of that and everyone's like, who cares, right? We call it what we want to call it. People know.
Well, they're going to call it this mid-bot lane. We're going to see the cleanse coming out. They get the knock-up. That's first blood going over to Kedaya. He trades back his own life, but the wave shall be lost to Betty. And he lost both of his summoners as well. Good proactive play from WE and exactly what we wanted to see.
Yeah, critically as well as ADC been in the teleport, so a pretty hefty loss in terms of the summoners that have been taken away and the minions missed by Betty. So definitely positive for WE, and this is what we need. I want to see them setting the pace of the game. I want to see that proactivity, because if they play this one lax, I do think they'll start to struggle as the game goes on. We'll get a replay of that. Essentially, it's just a nice play from Kedaya, right? He goes in, leaves very little outplay potential with the taunt, and although the cleanse comes in from Betty, they're just able to collapse down into him. Sure, Kedaya dies, and the sad thing is that ZDZ ends up getting it, but teleporting in to get that trade kill, but then missing out on top has worked out okay, you know, because of the wave state. If you actually look, big wave built up by BiuBiu that ZDZ is going to catch. So yes, it's a positive for WE, but ZDZ is massively benefiting from the scenario.
Yeah, very much so, and really giving out some serious vibes of a Gwen being immune coming into this game, as we can say Xiaohao just cleaning out some of the vision that the side of WE may have put themselves down, and they may look for a little bit of a gank themselves. No flash available for Kedaya, but you do have full sums here for Xing, and a good pink ward means they know exactly what is happening, but it's a huge wave now. Beishang in the vicinity, they could turn this one around. You also have a TP there on Xie. This is very risky, and I'm glad that anyone's legend did not opt into it.
Yeah, and especially with the fact that Aphelios still managed to get all of that CS and has a pretty substantial lead over Betty. Really nice for the side of WE to mitigate that pressure, and AL I'll miss out some farm here. They essentially invested so much time and resources heading down bot to nothing, right? But the positive, again, we can see the outcome of that big wave that was stacked up that ZDZ caught up about, I think after the minions are collected, just about 5 CS, but also has that kill in pocket. And these are the one of the things, if I'm talking about champions that scale well in the late stages, Gwen absolutely is one of them. That is the big thorn in your side. It's going to be a Gwen time of this game where it just gets to a certain point where if WE haven't won, they're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, I think that's the best way we can put it, is that the Gwen is going to be the win condition here, or a very, very solid one in the late game for the side of anyone's legend. Dragon is up. It is an Infernal Dragon to start us off with, but no one going to be starting that objective up just yet. You want to try and get yourself maybe an item and a half, 2 items before you go for anything crazy. I like the ZDZ just keeping an eye on Scuttle, seeing what he can do with this one here. As anyone's legend recognize that probably going to have the Trundle on the top side. We can go for the Dragon ourselves.
Yeah, just going to be able to grab this quite comfortably. And again, for AL, getting early dragons super important in a composition like this, because it just takes the pressure on. We kind of saw that in the game 1 because WE had those early dragons. CDZ might be in trouble.
He's in a lot of trouble. He'll get knocked back, dropped down, and that's BiuBiu picking up a nice little kill there. Good reactions here from WE on ZDZ, who was just on a bit of a trip to nowhere. Not really sure why he was putting so much pressure on that blue side.
Yeah, especially when you know your team are on the other side going for dragon play. Just unnecessary, and that lead we're talking about that ZDZ had is going to get turned around, especially since he doesn't have TP to catch the minions coming in. So big negative from AL, and just as I'm praising them, oh, more fighting coming out.
Yeah, we're going to see a 2v2 in the bot side. They will get the taunt down. The cleanse is too little, too late. As Kedaya does get himself another kill, it will be supportal combat as they both pick up the kills themselves. Xing, though, shall be granted free reign and a kill of his own. That is just, again, WE having the better 2v2.
And it's just crazy how much damage Kedaya does on this Galio, right? Basically, Betty just gets like one shot in the combo, even with cleanse. So struggling there. And remember, AL looked for that. They were the ones who initiated. They were the ones who tried to find the fight. And now losing both members in that 2v2. And I think, you know, if they went for a short trade, I would be fine. But they used so much, right? They used the CC from the Leona and the root from the XAyah. It's not enough to kill Kedaya. He has Aftershock. So he procs that and survives for a long time. And then because he uses the vision drop away as well, it just means QiuQiu absolutely is going to die in that situation, right? You have Aphelios free hitting you. No way you survive there.
And Betty just spamming his cleanse off of cooldown. Wasn't quite able to get a hello. As we do see Xiaohao now going to get taunted up. but not quite taken down. We will see the Charm now in the mid lane. A lot of different setups here. As Forge now in a little bit of trouble. His Realm Warp's going to be stopped. QiuQiu has nowhere to go unless it's over the wall with a flash. And oh no! Xie! Oh, buddy. We all
That's
saw
ruined
it.
my day. That has ruined my day, man.
Stop. Lyric, go home. I don't want to do this anymore. Just
What was the thought process, right? Because you didn't even have ult to chase. Like, I understand if you wanted to flash ult, but your ult is only just come.
I think you would have been able to flash Q.
Yeah. Oh man. I
think
hope
he
we
was
get a
waiting
preview
for
of that.
cooldown.
I really hope we get a preview.
I really
We
do.
can't
I really
right
do
at the
too.
moment because it's remote, so I don't think we have that available. But I hope we get a replay, maybe a slow-mo zoom in, so we can experience the pain again. Kedaya actually taking the blue in trouble.
He's taking the blue, but also losing his life. So buff transfer confirmed. Xiaohao takes that one out there. And we saw this in the last game where WE just kind of overstayed for a blue buff for no real reason and get themselves caught out on the back end of it.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, I was praising the really positive play from WE. Kind of flubbed it a little bit right in this situation. Xie, the flash, still pains me, but Kedaya just, you know, ends up getting caught out. Now 3 deaths on this Galio. In pretty quick succession.
I will say there's 2 kills though, so you know, not losing out in terms of that much gold.
Yes, but I would rather have those kills on my Aphelios.
I agree, but it's on the Galio, and you'll take what you're given. As we see Betty now, probably going to be forced to use his ultimate here in a second, as they do land the Q. He's got the red buff ticking as well. We'll get the subjugate over on top of him as Betty's in a lot of trouble, but gets himself close enough to the tower, so they should not lose out in anything, shape, or form. But because of that pressure, you now got free reign here for Xing, and yes, you lost the Rift Herald, but you're gaining so much more without having to invest all those resources in the top side.
Yeah, Xing going to be able to pick up a couple of plates here, rewarded quite nicely, but obviously the hope is that with the Herald you can get more than that. You can get 3 plates, you get a whole tower, or specifically that you get the 2 plates in the mid lane, which are more valuable. We'll see if that is able to come out and what AL can get from this. But ultimately, as I said, them being a team who are happy to take this later, having the Herald already and a Dragon, that's a pretty solid positive so far. They are down in gold by 2,000, which obviously a bit rough, but when they cash in that Herald, they should be able to mitigate some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. The mitigation of that little bit of extra gold that was given there. You will have now, though, a full Gale Force available to Xing, who's sitting pretty on about 1,000 gold lead, so he's doing pretty good for himself in that regard. Still has the coal to come in as well, so that gold lead is just going to get harder and harder to deal with. And honestly, I don't mind the Galio as much in this pick. I know we question it a little bit. There are a couple of better options, but I like the fact that having the taunt means with all these short-range carries means they have to get so close to you. And now Kedaya going to run straight forward with the Winds of War, just trying to help out his mid laner.
The problem is I don't mind the Galio in terms of like what the champion offers individually. I mind in terms of the composition kind of struggles as a result. I love Galio when you have someone to dive in and then you ult on top of them, and it means like it's very easy for you to connect with your ultimate. Galio is not good primary engage, and often in the mid lane you see him take Predator to make up for that. This is not a Predator Galio, this is an Aftershock Galio. You can play a defensive peel game quite effectively. That is something that can definitely be praised for this one. But if you want to go aggressive and set plays up, it's a bit trickier, right? Especially as you're into like a xAyah.
Oh, there's the Solar Flare going to be followed up with the Xenoblade, but there's the counter attack. You get the Galio going in to try and help out everybody. There's going to be the Ignite go down to QiuQiu. They are not going to be able to land the taunt in time. And that's going to be the Realm Warp used to keep their support alive. Dragon is alive and well, but for how much longer? You haven't got a huge amount of places to go here. The Charm will land, as we're going to see Forge just running straight towards this Ahri. There's the Moonlight Vigil coming in, the flash away, the flash in. BiuBiu picks it up with the Boomerang, and it's all very messy, but WE still doing what we thought we wanted to see from them, being aggressive and proactive in the early game.
I love that you said that it was messy there, because 100% that felt really questionable from WE, right? It felt a bit uncoordinated, but they managed to get what they want in the end. They get the kill. They're going to be able to transition this into a Dragon. And although they're still down 1, right, because that first pick from AL, it does mean they can lean towards that Dragon stacking. It's going to be a massive factor when it comes to this game in the later stages, as it can be a big power spike. And actually, Fiction kind of trolls Kedaya here with this pillar, blocking him. But in the end, just they have enough damage, they have enough chase down. And critically, it's a nice roam from BiuBiu here, who comes in and secures in the end.
Yeah, they're able to get the kill, they get the Dragon as well, so they get themselves up to 1 Dragon apiece. It is going to be a Mountain Rift, so a pretty solid win con for both these teams, and a 2,000 gold lead now for WE. What we said we wanted to see from them was being proactive, getting those early advantages, trying to make this early game comp working. So far, so good. But don't forget, they are on a timer. They need to end this game arguably before 30 minutes because that's when anyone's Legends team will just, regardless of how far behind they are, they should just be able to just win out because of levels and straight up damage.
I feel like it's really going to come down to Xing and the Aphelios if they're going to find favor in the later stages because, you know, as you said, it's a short range composition for AL, right? And the Aphelios is going to be able to shred them when they get up close. I just still have concerns because, you know, if my main sort of later win condition is an AD carry and the enemy team has Gwen and Zhao, then it's like, you know,
yeah.
It's a little bit,
can't touch this comp with also a jump on you setup. It's not a fun time as BiuBiu just gets the wave crashing in towards that top side. But yeah, I agree with you. It is kind of down to the Aphelios if it goes very much later into the game. And also just straight up mistakes. You know, things can happen. We've seen many times.
They do have pick potential, right? I think that's a big thing that you can always praise for the Ahri is that she can set up those plays when someone's out of position. If someone does misstep, no matter how late in the game, like a Charm into Everfrost can set up a play where you're able to capitalize. So there's still options. I think it's not like all doom and gloom if it goes to the later stage of the game, but absolutely WE 2,500 gold ahead. This is the pace they want to continue setting. And something's to be said for BiuBiu in this game, right? Obviously the Gwen TPing down, getting the kill, and then having that stacked wave to collect at the end looked a little bit rough. But now with the Hull Breaker, it's a situation where BiuBiu is very comfortable in that 1v1 matchup and has been putting pressure on that tower.
Well, we're going to see a taunt coming down as the Xenoblade does land. Gale Force away from the Solar Flare is very nice there from the side of Xing, and the rest of WE are starting to corral down this bot side. You do have some pretty decent wave clear, though. Betty uses his ultimate to make sure the feathers go flying, and he does not. And that's going to be just a couple of ultimates burned now on this bot side. Nothing else to really be talking about as we wait to see what WE want to try and do now with this newfound pressure.
Yeah, they're kind of trying to keep going on this one. It would be a 4v3, but I feel like it's a difficult dive, even with the ultimates being down.
Yeah, Realm Warp available as well. You need to be so careful with how you go for this one here. I feel like the Moonlight Vigil with the Gravitum locked in was the one they wanted to try and go for. Maybe go to try and lock him down, force out the cleanse. A couple of different things that could have went there. WE tried to hard force it. Anyone's Legend, though, very much up to the challenge and back themselves away, keep themselves safe. XAyah, come on, man. You missed the flash. You're not looking at your screen, walking over a pink board.
For shame. Yeah, well, ultimately...
That's why I play lock screen.
Wow. Well, that's not correct either, but regardless, Herald back up on the map on the top side, so WE we're going to go for a reset. I expect to see them head on over, but Beisheng's actually prioritizing his red first, so AL will have first move on this objective. Yeah,
they will. CDZ and BiuBiu just kind of going toe-to-toe right now. It is BiuBiu comes out a little bit more on top. Rift Herald, as you mentioned, is up and available. Minute and 20 seconds until the dragon spawns. No one really close to a soul point just yet as Forge goes forward, finds Beisheng in his own jungle. And it's just going to be rinse and repeat here for WE. They know where they're powerful is going to be in this bottom half of the map. They can't really make anything happen towards the top side, so they're going to have to tank these Heralds.
Yeah, and this is kind of rough, right? Because I feel like the team who are trying to set the pace of the game want the Herald, right? Be able to accelerate, especially you can take mid to 1. It can go a long way. But ultimately, at the same time, they managed to get that first tower for Xing, and he is the one who needs to be strong for this team, right? They're going to hold up later. So getting that gold in the Aphelios, you can't really complain too much about.
Well, they're still pushing with it. The Rift Herald has only just gone down in the next second or so, so they're still doing fairly well on the side of Team WE. And that's going to be a little bit more available to the side of WE to try to just pressure around this dragon. 30 seconds till that spawns. It will be the second Drake for them. And again, the win con is there. If you're able to get that shield, you're able to get those extra resistances, especially 3 stacked as well. So pretty decent setup there for the side of either Anyone's Legend or WE. And that's exactly what you want to be seeing from them as they continue to try and just, you know, finish off this series, get the 2-0.
That would be the goal. See, Beisheng just constantly fishing, I feel, is kind of the plays he's been going for, and the Trundle just trying to throw pillars down and see what he finds. Nothing really achieved yet, but a big aspect of them leaning down bot side before and going for that tier 1 is that they have control of the dragon area, right? Herald's going to get used by AL to sort of try and force them to defend. Mid tier 1's going to go down, but they're trying to pull them away from the river, and this is why, because getting charmed at the fog of war, not a fun time.
No, not a fun time at all. We will see Kedaya just kind of front-facing as BiuBiu almost into Mega, and they start to run forward. This is a moment here where Team WE are much stronger, you gotta feel, than the side of Anyone's Legend. That's a good pillar, and it's gonna put Chocho into a bad spot, and he's gonna get caught out, taken down. There's the ultimate coming out from the Galio as the TP finally comes in. ZDD has joined his team, but look at the amount of mana he has. It is negligible. They go in, but the flash charm from XAyah goes completely wide. It is only a one-for-none trade, but you gotta be WE getting themselves their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, should just be able to pick this one up easily. The fight doesn't go quite as well as I think WE had hoped, right? They still struggle to approach, and that's the thing, right? They don't have the amazing engage tools, and when you're running into the likes of a Ryze and a XAyah, if you can't get on top of them, it's painful, so they have to quickly disengage, but they got that big Gnar ultimate, got what they wanted, and they get the dragon, so we'll see a replay, and I kind of like it, right? They come in with BiuBiu with Mega Gnar pretty much stacked, right? And it's a really nice pillar by Beisheng because you can see ALL trying to cut away, but by doing this, he just ensures Chocho and Xiaohao are going to get hit by the AoE route, and then BiuBiu can follow up. But problem is, there's a Ryze and a XAyah free hitting, and the fact that they're just so good at kiting back and doing the AoE damage in these situations.
Yeah, it's just completely set themselves up for success. They now have themselves a 4,000 gold lead, and that does feel significant enough to start talking about this early game composition being a win condition for WE. Anyone's Legend are still waiting for big key items to come in, but you now have 2 items here for BiuBiu. You got the Triforce and the Hullbreaker, 3 kills onto him, and he can honestly take this 1v2 straight up, and you can see straight away Forge was like, look, we can't fight this. We gotta back away, Xiaohao. We cannot deal with this very angry little Yordle.
Yeah, and Gnar is so strong right now, right? 2 items, you can see the differential between him and ZDZ. He's a menace in the side lane with the Hullbreaker. With Triforce, he takes turrets really fast. And he's been massive in team fights. And I think BiuBiu has been a big positive for WE, right? We often see Beisheng invest resources into him early, and it's so often that it ends up paying dividends later on in the game.
Well, we're going to try and put the pressure down in this mid lane. You will still, though, have the Gore Drinker onto Xiaohao, so he's able to just kind of keep the minions nicely peppered down and keep themselves safe coming into this particular game. And this is going to be a little bit more of a wait and see from Anyone's Legends. We talked about it the last time for WE. It was there in the first game, having that very much scaling composition. This time around, it is Anyone's Legend who have that advantage. We wait to see where they want to go. Big items, though, for the AD carries being finished up. Mana Mune, or Mana, I should say, for Betty. You've got yourself the Bloodthirster here for Xing. So lots of options available to both sides as they both try and see where they can make their advantages known.
And I think that's the thing, is that if AL can continue just to keep things slow, but the thing is, it's 4,000 gold deficit, and WE, it hasn't been like a, you know, we had the earlier series with JDG against Weibo, and man, that was fast-paced, right? I think it goes without saying, Gnar really set the pace in that one. It's not been like that, but it's definitely been this slow accumulation of leads, and I feel like this is like a tempered WE. I think this is my main criticism, was they just kind of threw their bodies at the enemy team. But for the most part, when they are ahead, they do a good job of staying ahead, and I think so far in this game, they haven't really given too many windows for AL to clamber back in. Now they're just trying to contest things like the red buff, establishing that pressure. I do think a critical thing is that mid lane tier 1. Oh my god, he's going to stop the recalls.
Yep.
Is that mid lane tier 1. If you can break the mid lane tier 1, it really opens up the map and allows you to play more aggressively deep, and particularly with things like the Ahri, easier to set up for picks.
That's what we mentioned. It's going to be about those charms, getting those Trundle pillars down. As WE now pushing forward, break open this base, and you've got a 1-3-1 going here for the side of Anyone's Legend, but I don't know if that's exactly the kind of setup you want, as BiuBiu goes in and 2 quick kills. Anyone's Legend, we said we wanted to see them take this slow, but this is a little bit too slow, as finally their solo laners are just a little bit too late to the party. That's just a bit of a misstep there as the charm lands. Forge going to be in a little bit of trouble, but these health bars not quite in a position for WE. They might just turn and burn for Baron. You don't have Xiaohao.
Yeah, this could be a little bit risky, but XAyah, I think he's going to recall and TP back in. They might just think they're going to reset. They don't want to risk it. It's only 10 seconds in the out. And I think the problem is, even with the fact that they got those 2 kills, there's definitely a positive play. It's still scary, right? There's a Gwen on the enemy team. There's a Ryze who can realm warp them in, allow them to get back from base quicker. But just BiuBiu, again, the pillar in unison with the Mega Gnar, and the fact that we have the charm dive forwards from XAyah. I just love the way they're playing this, right? I talked about how I felt like they had difficulties engaging. They're being very creative with their tools to find opportunities, and particularly, it feels like BiuBiu's Mega Gnar is kind of at will, right? You know, one of the issues with
feels
Gnar
like a
is
toggle.
yeah, like one of the issues with Gnar is that you don't always have Mega, but it feels like BiuBiu does whenever he needs it.
Yep, absolutely. And Anyone's Legend now find themselves 6,000 gold behind. And this is where the game starts to get significantly harder for them, because there's a sole point here for the side of WE, but they get caught out by the Pillar and the Charm again. The Moonlight Vigil is good and going to be so much damage coming out here, but then they can turn and burn straight onto this Aphelios. BiuBiu toggles back onto the Mega Gnar and gets the fight right back in the favor of WE. Forge has nowhere to go as he gets taunted up. It's a double kill for Beishang, and this is just all WE all the time.
Yeah, the only sort of saving grace for AL is they don't have anyone left up who can help them take the Baron, so they won't be able to secure the Purple Worm, but they crush the team fight and they will get the Dragon off the back of it. BiuBiu, again, it's like, as you said, it's like a toggle. He's mega when he needs to be. He's there, he joins in. Really stellar play going out from WE. I had concerns with the composition. I said they needed to have a good pace, and this mid game has been on point.
There we go. We see the replay of the fight. And again, it's just everyone is lining up for this AoE damage. Xing does go very aggressive, and sadly for him, gets caught by the Wind Becomes Lightning right at the last second, and they can't save him. Yeah,
and you can see, obviously, some of the concerns with the Aphelios going into the Gwens and Zhao. It could be really painful. But man, this Gnar is just doing so much work. And it really feels like this gold deficit right now. 7,000, right? WE one Dragon away from Soul and in a prime position to set up and play for this Baron. And that's the scary thing, because now they've taken that tier 2 in the mid lane, right? They have a lot of control on the map. They're able to push in deeply, contest vision, deny vision, more importantly. And then we can see them play around this Ahri, use it to look for picks. And all they need is one pick, maybe two, and that's Baron.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see now Anyone's Legend trying to move forward. I will say you do have a Nashor's Tooth and the components of a Zhonya's, with the benefit of having it with the stopwatch, so ZDZ should be able to get some decent work going. But that's a 3.5 item Gnar. That's a massive Gnar that's going to be able to deal with pretty much a team fight, a side lane. Anything you can throw at him at this moment in time is very much going to be in favor of BiuBiu. So the side of Anyone's Legend, you want to wait this one out, but I feel like if you go too slowly, like we've seen them in the last few seconds, or the last few minutes, it's just going to end up putting the ball back in WE's court. You have to be a little bit more risky with how this game has gone.
Yeah. Oh, we do see Xiaohao and Chocho waiting in the wings. But actually, WE heading straight for ZDZ.
They're going straight for him. They're going to try and find him, but he skips his way back to safety. And that's just one boulder from BiuBiu. And he's going to be able to stack. Yeah, they can just start this one up. They know exactly where the Gwen is, so they're not afraid of a TP flank or even a flank from the top side.
Yeah, TP coming in from Forge. WE definitely don't want to flip this. They need the fight.
Moonlight Vigil is good, puts some decent damage. There's going to be Chocho going golden as he gets taunted up. They get off the Baron, they take out the Leona, and again, Anyone's Legend are getting taken apart bit by bit. Look at BiuBiu, just free hitting now, trying to build up that Mega Gnar with the ultimate of the Galio. They're just separated. Anyone's Legend have nowhere to go and no one to be. They've got the Gwen, it will pick up the Aphelios, but BiuBiu is the real carry of this team. Team WE get themselves absolutely everything. They only lose their AD carry, and they're going to be able to take the Baron as well.
Yeah, 4 for 1. They lose the Aphelios, so it's a bit of a slower Baron than you'd hope. The Gnar does plenty of damage, and there's no real contest. Betty, the only one left alive, and he wants nothing to do with it. Once again, huge play from WE. The Aphelios are struggling to survive, but the rest of the team are delivering, and this Gnar is on form.
It's just a big move. You get the Baron, you're going to be at the reset. There's no Dragon for 2.5 minutes. They might even honestly wait for the Aphelios to spawn before they actually fully take it. But let's have a look at the replay here, because it starts with a solo flare that they think they've caught Kedaya, and then WE just kind of peel off and take the fight.
And the problem is, Chocho goes so far forward, the stopwatch buys time, but WE just back away and then time the charm well. And what I will say is that Xing struggles here, right? We can see it gets to the point where the enemy team just decide we're going to dive on this Aphelios, and there's so little he can do. But ultimately, I think it's just the front line doing so much work, right? BiuBiu, absolute monster on this Gnar. stacked up the mega. It took him a while to get it there, but still doing so much damage. You can see 4 items now on this champion. It's nuts.
And the Realm Warp had to be used by Forge. You recognize he was in no man's land. That is not your jungle no more. So has to back away. The Baron buff ticking away. They even did wait for Xing to come back up, so he's even got the big old purple buff around his little toesies as everyone starts to back away from this bot lane turret. You will finally get a tier 1 on the top side by the Gwen's hand. ZDZ miles away from his team. He has got TP, but honestly, WE, they could keep pushing onto this. They got 2 waves going for them, and with the Baron, it's going to be very difficult for this very short-range comp of AL to actually do much about these Baron minions.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that damage.
Didn't even land the charm, didn't even need to. They can kill the turret before the Gwen can even finish the TP. Oh, it's a disaster for anyone's legend, and WE are putting down a stamp of authority on this game. WE are just smashing AL.
Yeah, and I mean, ZDZ's going to be here. They're going to try and turn around.
They're going to try and go for it. There's the Galio's Hero's entrance. Going to knock up ZDZ, but he's getting stunned up, and now he's no longer immune. It looked like they may have been able to make the absolute garbage craziness that is the Gwen work for them, but it's not able to be as BiuBiu comes back straight on top of this XAyah and just gets everything working for the side of Team WE. We will see the Zenith Blade as they try and maybe take down Kedaya. Does end up falling to the Ignite of QiuQiu, but again, like I said, that was not the carry. This is your man you need to be looking at. BiuBiu going to be ending this game 10-0-5. And it is the side of Team WE that end the LPL Spring 2022 on a high. And even higher because they're going to go for even more kills. Great play from Team WE, and they get themselves a 2-0 to end the split.
And I had question marks about the composition, right? But they really set the pace in that mid game. They were able to accelerate it and close out a confident 2-0. And I mean, I've just got to say, it's like WE have trended up, and it took a while for them to get rolling. I actually want to talk a little bit about the schedule, right? They started off by playing like so many stacked lineups, and I think that kind of hit them, because I think now they've started to face some of the easier teams. You can kind of see that they've been able to sort of work out how they want to be playing, right? And it comes to moments like this where they look really good, and I think this is a lineup that needs time, right? I'm looking at Summer, but we've seen so many positives, and BiuBiu in particular on that Gnar that game, just standout performance. Really good one to end the split on.
Honestly, this is a BiuBiu that we haven't really seen much of all split. This was a BiuBiu that arguably looked like he was on a very unfortunate downward trend. It wasn't the BiuBiu we saw from last year, who wasn't, again, exceptionally amazing, but was able to stand up and go toe-to-toe with some of the best in the league at the bare minimum. Didn't see it all season. Finally got to see it today. We finally got to see what this guy could do, and it was off of the back of just, again, it was a harder to execute composition, but the side of WE were very much a proactive team. They looked to make advantages happen for them, and anyone's legend just had no answers. They tried to wait it out, but they couldn't.
Yeah, and, you know, again, we're not going to see more of them, right? This is a split over, but I am excited for Summer, and absolutely. I think there's a lot of positives across the board for this team. There's definitely mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and pretend they're flawless. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, they would win playoffs if they had qualified, but there's positives, and it's so refreshing to see, because they've had a rough season. I think especially with how Summer last year when they actually made it into playoffs, and again, made a huge miracle run, beat EDG and knocked them into the losers bracket, the last team to beat them in a best of 5, and then they went on to win Worlds. To go to, how they've struggled this split was very underwhelming, especially for Team WE fans, but I think there's hope on the horizon. Not
absolutely. It's too easy of a joke. Same with Upset. People just need to stop calling themselves very, very common. Like on. It's just like on. It's just on. Why is he on? Why can't he not just be something slightly less obvious?
I think as well with OMG, like Abel, oh man,
Abel's one of the worst offenders for that.
Yeah.
It's just not a fun time for a caster when you're trying to think of different. I just need to get a thesaurus and just have it like on another monitor over here or something. Just have it there and constantly putting in new words for things. But again, good end to the season here for WE. Unfortunately for AL, they will go down now to 5-10. They still have one series left to play. That will be, I believe, played on Wednesday against V5 as we start to pick up the last few different games. But a win's a win for WE. They end the split on a 4-12 record. And honestly, given how the season started, you take those. 4-12, I think is okay for a team, especially down the bottom of the standings. And to be honest with you, all our teams down the bottom of the standings, no one actually went winless. Like, it wasn't just like a 1 win in 15. 3-13, 3-13, 4-12.
It took WE so long to get that first win as well. I can't remember specifically what the scoreline was before they did, but man, it was a while, right? So, you know, they recovered, and I think you can focus on the score. The score doesn't matter anymore, right? At the end of the day, I feel you're not making playoffs. I feel like the bigger thing is when you look at how they play, and I think they really have shown growth. I think that's the major takeaway, because at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if you don't make playoffs. It's not the end of the world if you have a rough split. It is pretty bad, though, if you're not able to grow and improve over the course of the split. And I think WE is testament to a team who have done that. And so, yeah, you know, I'm going to keep sort of spinning that, but it is absolutely a positive going forwards.
I think that's the best way we can put it. We just want to be positive about this. Yes, this doesn't mean